We are starting off with a chocolate chip zucchini bread, a great option for a make-ahead breakfast. This is a really good option if your family, your household likes to go with the keto diet or a paleo diet, or you have gluten-free members of your family, because all-purpose flour is not used. It uses almond flour, and it also, as you see here, has the addition of almond butter, so it has a little bit of that extra protein. If you've watched any of our meal prep videos before, we always say every time that we don't like to choose favorite recipes, but inevitably we have a favorite recipe of the bunch, and this was our choice for this video. So we are starting off strong with our favorite recipe of the bunch, this chocolate chip zucchini bread. The batter for this recipe comes together really easily. We did this all in one bowl. We didn't even separate the wet and the dry ingredients, which kept the dishes down, always a plus. And we were a little worried when we were first testing this recipe because as we were pouring it into the pan to bake, it almost seemed like there wasn't enough. And we were worried there wasn't going to be any kind of rise to this zucchini bread, and maybe it just wouldn't work the way we're used to seeing a chocolate chip zucchini bread, mainly because of the difference of ingredients here. But it really did work out beautifully. The bars came out really delicious, chewy on the inside, a little bit crisp on the top. We were really impressed with this. We did make this ahead at the beginning of the week, cut it up into squares, rectangle, bars, whatever you would like to do to serve it throughout the week. And we just kept it really easily in a Tupperware container. We did actually keep it in the refrigerator to keep it lasting a little bit longer. But if you don't have room in the fridge, you could always keep it out on the countertop as well. This worked wonderfully for a quick grab and go make ahead breakfast. When you just don't have a lot of time in the morning to put anything together, pop this on the plate, warm it up a little bit in the microwave, or take it in the car with you with a napkin, and you're good to go. Of course, a go-to for a meal prep breakfast is some kind of oatmeal. So this could be a big batch of oatmeal that you make at the beginning of the week and keep in the fridge to warm up with your toppings throughout. And of course, the idea of overnight oats. So you're having a cold oatmeal that is even easier to just grab and go out of the fridge. We did want to include something like that in this video because it is a great option for meal prep breakfasts. And we were so excited when we saw this recipe for a winter breakfast quinoa, switching it up a little bit from the traditional oats, but the flavors of coconut, vanilla, cinnamon, and then all of the fun toppings, it really did remind us of an oatmeal, but it was a little bit different with a quinoa, a little bit of added protein. Quinoa for some can be a little bit easier on digestion as compared to oats, so this could be a great option if you found oats don't work really well for you in the morning. Give this recipe a try. It was really easy to prep ahead of time. How we kept it in the fridge was we kept everything separate. We did cool down the quinoa, keep it in a separate container from all of our toppings. But we're showing you here the final product when we put together our bowl the morning of when we're ready to eat this winter quinoa. It has that great coconut quinoa base with some almonds, pomegranate seeds, and blood oranges on top. It was a really nice, warm, comforting breakfast. If you are anything like us, you will not let an overripe banana go to waste. And if you have children in your household or are just a household that enjoys bananas, you likely always have some sort of overripe banana. And what's the best thing to do with that is turn it into a banana bread or banana muffins. Now, that is also a great option for a make-ahead, easy grab-and-go breakfast when you're trying to meal prep. This recipe really jumped out at us because it is a cinnamon swirl banana bread muffin. So you're getting those classic flavors of a banana bread, but they really are subtle because we're only using one banana in this recipe. And instead, you're getting a lot of cinnamon flavor. It actually says in the recipe, watch out, there's a lot of cinnamon flavor in this. And we completely agree. Once again, we are using almond flour for this, so it is a paleo recipe if that is something you are looking for. But the texture and the fluffiness of the muffin still turned out really great. The fun part about this recipe is, like I mentioned, the cinnamon swirl. So once you get all of the muffins into your muffin tins, you're going to mix up a little cinnamon swirl mixture, which is cinnamon, maple syrup, and melted coconut oil. You pour that into each of the muffin tins, and then with a knife, you just swirl it around. But we really liked that, again, strong cinnamon flavor, and it also gave the tops of the muffins a really nice crispness. We stored these really easily in a Tupperware container or left out on the countertop, whichever is easier for your household. They lasted all week long and were a really great hit. Now let's get into some make-ahead meal prep dinner options. Starting off with roasted tomato and chickpea pasta. We love to make pastas for make-ahead meals. We find that it's something that not a lot of people think of when they think of meal prep. But if you keep the pasta separate from your sauce in the refrigerator and strategically warm up the pasta in the microwave with a little bit of water, it warms up beautifully. You get the same exact texture as if it was a fresh pasta. Pasta is a craving that a lot of people have and a meal that a lot of people enjoy. So you don't want to take that away from yourself if you're doing meal prep. But anyway, this particular recipe has a really fun, healthy sauce made with roasted tomatoes, chickpeas, some seasoning, some shallots, some olive oil, all roasted together in one pan in the oven. So really, really easy to prep ahead of time. For this meal, we did roast this ahead of time. We cooked the pasta ahead of time. And like we mentioned earlier, we kept everything separate in the fridge. So the pasta didn't lose its texture, did not become soggy with the sauce right out of the oven. When you're plating this all together, of course, you're going to mix it all into one big bowl. We have a big pile of that warmed up pasta, some nice crispy baked kale right on top, and then our roasted tomato and chickpea sauce poured all over the top. This was, again, really healthy, really flavorful, and we were really impressed with how well it kept up in the fridge throughout the week. Next up is chimichurri chicken meatballs. Something we find to be really important to stick to meal prep long term is to consistently be switching up the recipes you're using. If you are always making yourself a ground meat, a roast chicken, a rice, and a veggie, yes, that is healthy and simple and easy to prep, but you're going to get sick of that same flavor night after night. So we feel it's really important to switch up what you're eating and add in as much flavor as you possibly can. And this is a really great example of that. This is a chicken, or you could use a turkey meatball mixture. And the sauce that we use on top of the meatballs is a really flavorful, somewhat spicy, fresh chimichurri. And it's so unexpected because you usually see meatballs served over pasta with some red sauce or an Alfredo sauce. Well, this is a really fun, different take on it. You can serve these meatballs however you'd like. When we served them up for dinner, we did actually serve them over a mashed potato. As we mentioned earlier with our other recipes, we like to store this one separately. So we do keep the chimichurri sauce separate in the fridge, separate from the meatballs, just to keep the consistency of all of the ingredients. And then you bring it all together the night of. The chimichurri sauce does not need to be warmed up. You can put it right on top, comes together quickly, and again, so flavorful. Sheet pan sausage and veggies. If you really want to be a meal prep hero, you want to stick with this goal of meal prepping healthy meals every single week, we love a sheet pan meal or a one pot meal to keep up with the longevity of meal prep because it reduces the amount of dishes, and nobody likes to be doing the dishes. We actually talk about this in one of our previous videos talking about our top tips for meal prep. We'll be sure to link that video up above and down below in the description. But sheet pan meals are our favorites. We love the flavors of roasting vegetables, roasting meats, and it's all made on one pan that can easily be washed, reducing the dishes that you have to do at the end of your prep day. You will thank us. This is a really fun recipe and really can be used as a guide to make it your own. So in this particular recipe, we are using a sausage, and the vegetables that we chose were Brussels sprouts, sweet potatoes, and some red onion. But you can really make this your own with whatever ingredients that your family likes the best. The key is to cook it all together on one sheet pan. Everything together, the meat and the veggies, all of the flavors come together, and then it just keeps it down to one sheet pan. When it comes to storage, this is a really easy one because just like it used one pan to roast in, you really only need one large Tupperware container to store it in the fridge. Super easy again, and less dishes in the end. Because everything cooked together, you can absolutely store it together. It warms up really, really quickly and easily in the microwave or in the oven, in a skillet, however you'd like to do it. We just served this all on its own, all together, but you could add something else to it, a rice underneath, serve it over pasta, add a salad on the side, whatever works for what you're looking for that day. But this is a really easy go-to if you're new to meal prep and you really want to stick to it. Pesto chicken wraps. This is a recipe from one of our absolute favorites and a favorite of many people, the Half-Baked Harvest. When we saw this recipe on her website, we just had to try it, and we loved it for a meal prep option. We're listing it here as a dinner because this could absolutely be a go-to quick dinner, but it also would make a great lunch. Make this ahead of time, pack it up in some plastic wrap, aluminum foil, put it in a Tupperware container, and it is so easy to grab and go and have at lunch. It does need to be refrigerated, but if you have that option at your place of work, then we really do think this would make a good lunch as well. It consists of a really nicely seasoned, somewhat spicy chicken, and this topping with the chicken, which is cucumbers, a little bit of roasted red peppers, and some dill, salt, and pepper. And then on the wrap, before you add on your chicken and your veggies, you're going to spread out some pesto. We used a store-bought pesto. You could, of course, make the pesto on your own, but if you want to make it a little easier for yourself, there are so many great store-bought options these days. On top of the pesto, you add the chicken, you add the veggies, add a little bit of feta cheese, some lettuce, and a homemade yogurt tzatziki sauce, or again, store-bought to keep it easy. Wrap it all up, slice it in two, and it is so, so delicious. This was a really big hit. Again, dinner or lunch, whatever works for you. Really good for make-ahead meal prep.